If you're a boxing fan, you probably heard that Keith Thurman has been pursuing a rematch against Manny Pacquiao. Now the question here is that would you want to see that rematch? Would you give Keith Thurman a rematch? And before you answer that question, I'd like to ask a quick favor. Most of my followers here are Filipinos. If you're a Filipino, let's just pretend that Manny Pacquiao is not the Filipino, and maybe let's pretend that Keith Thurman is the Filipino here. Now, the reason I ask that is that obviously Filipino answer this question, and they're a Pacquiao fan most of the time. They would mostly answer in favor of Manny Pacquiao, and we try to, of course, protect the welfare of our boxers. And that's right, rightfully so. That's what I would think, and I will tell you what I would do, what I think after this. But I would like you to think that you're from a neutral country here. Maybe that's the better scenario here. Let's just say you're from a neutral country, and you're a fan of both boxers. You saw the fight; it was a close one. Manny Pacquiao was able to knock down Keith Thurman in the early rounds, and hit Keith Thurman with the body shot on the latter round. It was a split decision. Two judges scored it in favor of Manny Pacquiao. One judge scored it 114, 113, a very close one for Keith Thurman. Obviously, if you look at the score, a rematch may be coming because it was such a close fight that it wasn't that definitive. And we found out, and we know, most of us know that Keith Thurman was injured, apparently injured with his left hand during that fight. Some would question that if Keith Thurman was able to fix the hand before the fight, that he could have won, and he could have used that left hook to his advantage. Some would also question that without the knockdowns and the body shot, even with the injured left hand of Keith Thurman would have won. But then again, you know, Manny and Keith Thurman agreed to a fight, whether injured or not. That's a fight. It's all part of the equation. I'm not sure if you would agree with me on that one. We can't take away the knockdown. It's already been there. Probably it would have probably be a different scenario if the knockdown didn't happen, but it happened. All right, and I'm sure Manny Pacquiao would have adjusted differently. And even so, with those scenarios not in place, I would still think that Manny Pacquiao would win that fight. Manny Pacquiao was 40 years old. Keith Thurman was 31. And Manny Pacquiao showed that he can fight with the younger guys, with the prime fighters. Now, if people would say that Keith Thurman was injured and he deserved a rematch, if that's the argument, then I would then argue with you that I want the rematch with Floyd Mayweather Jr. because Pacquiao was injured too in his hand, shoulder. I mean, before that fight, and that's why Pacquiao couldn't throw as many punch as he was doing in his previous fight. All right. Now, come to think of this, if you are from a neutral country, you would think that this would be a great fight, right? It was guarantee. It will guarantee another blockbuster fight, and if the first fight was a preview, then the second fight would be much better. And so, as a boxing fan, I would say, yeah, go for it. I wanted to see a rematch. But if I'm from a neutral country and Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman, I would want to see that rematch only if, here's my thing, only if Manny Pacquiao won't fight either Terence Crawford or Errol Spence. Obviously, as a boxing fan, I want to see Manny Pacquiao fight with those other fighters in their prime or with the other champions. So that will be a better fight for me than the Keith Thurman fight. So if it's Terence Crawford or Errol Spence, that'll be no brainer. I would want to see that fight. Even though Manny Pacquiao has nothing to prove already, he's been a champion for a long time, and those guys are just in their prime and probably gonna be the harder fight than Keith Thurman, if you ask me, because those guys are champion, unbeaten. So if it's those two, Keith Thurman, step aside. But if it's Mikey Garcia, Well, I can argue with you on this one. Mikey Garcia, people has been looking past Mikey Garcia. To be honest with you, the nice way to say this was people were saying that Mikey Garcia is a bit better fit. But the truth is, Mikey Garcia, they think most of the people think that Mikey Garcia can handle Manny Pacquiao because he's smaller and he doesn't probably will damage Manny Pacquiao as much as Keith Thurman or as much as Sean Porter. If you're a real fight fan, a fight with Sean Porter and Manny Pacquiao would really be a great action-packed fight. But of course, obviously, as a Filipino, we don't want Manny Pacquiao to get into those type of battles, especially without a belt or without like big payday. Sean Porter is good. Sean Porter and Manny Pacquiao would be a good fight, but it's so high risk with less reward, and that's the fact. Danny Garcia may be good, maybe a better attraction if you ask me to, than Mikey Garcia because Mikey Garcia, I mean Danny Garcia, I think uh, it's always good to match up Manny Pacquiao against someone who talk. His father and himself likes to talk, so it's a good storyline. Mikey Garcia does a little bit of talking, but I look at him more of a relaxed outside. So if you ask me here, I think Danny Garcia is better than Mikey Garcia in terms of what I wanted to see. But Keith Thurman, yeah, good rematch. It will be a good rematch, not unless it's Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. That's my take on this one, and I would give Kit Thurman a chance for a rematch because obviously I think that he would have a chance to win against Manny Pacquiao if he's 100%, and obviously it's a good fight. But then again, we can all argue now that if a fighter is injured, then he can always get a rematch. It's That's their decision. He fought through with the injury. He signed the dotted line, and he has to make up for what he has that night. Anyway, I want to ask you all: would you give Manny or Keith Thurman a chance for a rematch against Manny Pacman Pacquiao? And would you think it's a good fight? By the way, just to end this one, I just don't see Manny Pacquiao fighting in the U.S. this year. Probably, if he will fight outside the country because Manny Pacquiao said himself that he wouldn't fight or he doesn't envision himself fighting in an event without any crowd. Although Keith Thurman and Sean Porter have mentioned that they're all willing to fight in a closed door event, Manny Pacquiao is different. Also, a Manny Pacquiao fight is kind of fight or event that demands fans inside the venue, and that's going to be hard to do this year, especially in the US. But let me know what you think. My name is Pao Salu. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share. In this channel, by the way, on this channel, we cover a lot of Filipino boxing. So if you're Filipino, you already know me probably, but if you don't, please subscribe. If you're non-Filipino and if you want to know more about Filipino boxing, this is the place to be. All original commentary, interviews from Filipino boxers. Most of them in Filipino language, however, but I'm sure you'd understand. The language of boxing is universal. Thank you very much and talk to you again soon.
Powcast Sports. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Powcast Sports.
A competitive fight. So, the